Yay! Thank you so much for tuning into the Upside this afternoon. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We are still streaming live on social media at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. A youth-led program in the Eastern Cape is showing that real change is possible when young people are trusted to lead. That one line. I don't know which parliamentarians, government officials are listening. I'm going to say it again slowly. A youth-led program in the Eastern Cape is showing that real change is possible when young people are trusted to lead. More than 30,000 learners across 40 schools have pledged to stay away from alcohol after taking part in the hashtag No to Under 18 peer-to-peer program, achieving an 84% commitment rate to abstain from or reduce alcohol use while underage. Implemented by aware.org in partnership with the Eastern Cape Liquor Board and United Through Sport, the program places learners at the center of conversations about peer pressure, health, and future goals. Instead of lectures, it equips student ambassadors to speak honestly to their peers in their own language and on their own terms. Joining us to unpack what's working is Mukebe Tulo, CEO of aware.org. Thank you so much for your time, Mukebe, and welcome to the Upside. How are you doing on this fine Friday?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners, viewers. Thank you for having us. We're doing well. Thank you.
No doubt. I think you agree with me when I emphasize the point that, when you give young people the opportunity to lead, remarkable change can take place.
Absolutely. This is one of the programs that are really close to my heart. Its inception was, in fact, a part of what the Eastern Cape Liquor Board came up with. And we met with them at the end of 2024 to discuss some programs that we were working on, what they were working on, and how we could potentially collaborate. And this one specifically came up. And immediately we thought this is something that we have to get involved in. There was definitely some work to be done on the setup of the program in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of how do we then monitor and evaluate this program, in terms of how do we structure it in a way that we can actually establish that, okay, so part one works this way. What does the content look like? What do we provide the learners with, and to streamline the program? And in 2025, we piloted this program in those 40 schools you speak of, in the two municipalities in the Eastern Cape, which is Nelson Mandela Bay, as well as Buffalo Bay Municipality, and the results speak for themselves.
Let's talk about just some of the pressures. Perhaps we can get into that, looking at the pressures of young people, the challenges that they're facing when it comes to alcohol, especially during the pens down period, social gatherings.
Yes. So, we did a piece of research at the end of 24, the beginning of 2025, specifically towards underage drinking. The three leading causes of underage drinking are: number one, peer pressure; number two, family role modeling; excuse me; number three, what they see on specifically social media, so the media that affects them. So it only makes sense that if peer pressure is such a strong imprint in the lives of young people, why don't we use this in a positive way to turn the tide, so to speak?
It's 18 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. I am in love with this program, and we'll unpack why it was so effective and why it continues to be so effective, because one would think if you get advice from a parent or from an elder and instruction, you will listen to them, but that's not always the case. It seems here that when I hear my peers talking about how good something is or how bad something is, I'll listen to them and I'll gravitate to what they're saying more than I would an elder, which is very interesting and fascinating. And we'll continue to unpack that right after this. Don't go anywhere. This is The Upside, the Friday edition of The Upside on Channel Africa.
Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective. The Upside. On The Upside, your voice matters.
19 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Still in conversation with Mukebe Tulo, CEO of aware.org. Listen, they ran a campaign where more than 30,000 learners across 40 schools have pledged to stay away from alcohol after taking part in the hashtag No to Under 18 peer-to-peer program. Mukebe, let's talk about why it has been so successful. Again, before the break, I'm like, wouldn't you rather listen to your parent and hear the instruction from them or elders? Why does it seem that peer-to-peer advice and counsel works more effectively?
I think it's important to say that there is a place for interventions across the board. So there is a place where parental advice is important.
Yeah.
There is a place where advice from teachers, etc., is important. But peer-to-peer advice is taken very seriously by young people. And of course, we can tell through the trends that we see, for example. So instead of having the blind leading the blind, it is imperative that at least we give them the tools, or give some of them, that especially the ones that in this case were identified through the schools and through the Department of Education, which is a part of this whole process. So the schools identify sort of leaders within that peer space, and not just from an academic point of view, for example, but young people with influence in the school where they will be listened to, young people with a voice, young people with passion and ambition. And these are the people that other young people listen to, because they go to them for advice, they turn to them for advice. I think we all know that peer pressure is a thing, but this is about turning it into a positive. So positive role modeling, positive peer pressure for a change.
Positive peer pressure. I love that term, actually. Got to throw it into conversations as much as possible. But let's talk about measured changes that you are seeing. You know, I mentioned the pens down. We mentioned all sorts of scenarios. So are we seeing any measurable changes that you can share with us when you look at the behavior of young people, especially in the schooling environment? But beyond that, when we look at some of the pledges as well, are you seeing a reduction in incidents or reports?
Well, yes, absolutely. We're seeing very positive results. I think it's in two pieces. It's basically what you see, number one, what you're asking me about, and then it's what you don't see. So the incidences that don't happen, the negative things that don't happen and that are prevented. So from a measurability point of view, we ensure that all the programs that we run are measurable. So we do a pre-analysis before running the program. So we take a look at the lay of the land in the school beforehand, and all of the learners that are impacted by this program. We do a pre-assessment, and then of course we do the intervention throughout the year. And then following that, we do a post-assessment, and that's where the 84% success rate comes from. So we ask them a series of simple questions, but one of them is, how likely, or are you less likely to, for example, take a drink after this, or to try alcohol, or to refrain from alcohol moving forward? And 84% of them say absolutely they are, because now they are empowered. They know what the detrimental effects of alcohol are. And I think often we say, don't do this, don't do that, but we don't say why.
Yeah.
And of course, the way that the knowledge is imparted to these young people is such a sort of informal but trusted way. It's not just about a lesson on do this, it's why and how, and giving them some tools. So there's that monitoring and evaluation part of it where we get the numbers. So it's the quantitative part of it. Then we've got the qualitative part of it where we do interviews with students that have actually gone through the program, and we ask them, so what do you think? What have you experienced? What are some of the changes that have happened in your very own life? And we anecdotally get stories from them, and we collect quotes throughout. We collect stories from the peer leaders that run the programs. We speak to the principals in the schools that are in those communities where those programs are ran. And we speak with our partners. So UTS is United Through Sport, and they are the implementation partner on the ground. And we did an in-field visit last year ourselves as the team. And I promise you, just watching the work happen and listening as sort of the fly on the wall to the anecdotal results, to the way these young people articulate themselves and the way they express themselves, and the before and after is actually extraordinary to watch. And so there are those results. Then, of course, we've got this massive WhatsApp group that these young people get involved in as part of this peer program. And one of the things that the Liquor Board reports is that at the end of the year, throughout the year, but particularly at the end of the year with the pens down parties happening, there's almost like these proactive young people that are the ones that are guarding their communities and saying, no, 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 no alcohol involved pens down parties will take place in my community. And they are the ones that report incidences that could potentially happen. Or, you know, if there's a flyer going around about a party that will involve alcohol that is related to under 18s, or if there's an establishment that's not following the law, these young people, because they live there and they have the insights, are in a position to make those reports and to prevent those incidences from taking place. So it's a positive from the point of view of the behavior we were able to change. And then, of course, the behavior we were able to prevent, which is a double win.
What a phenomenal achievement this has been, Mokete. Let's talk about expansion beyond the Eastern Cape. Are we likely to see Aware being a part of a program that expands beyond the Eastern Cape? And if so, what kind of collaborations would you welcome to ensure that it gets rolled out effectively?
So, of course, we want to expand this program. We want to be in as many schools and communities as possible, and we want to be in as many regions as possible. But it does come with collaboration. It does come with partnerships. So we do have a finite budget, of course, across our No to Under 18 pillars. So collaborations are welcome in the form of not just financial collaborations, but in the form of, for example, partnering with the Department of Education or another liquor board in a different region. I mean, we partner with liquor boards across the country. Every region has its own liquor board. There's also implementation partners. So, for example, the Northern Cape is a very difficult region to run programs in because it is so vast in terms of the space. And that's why most of the programs that you see are run in locales such as Western Cape, which is Cape Town, Gauteng, and KZN, because it's easier to run programs in these areas. They're metro areas, they're central, but we do need to get to the outlying areas. So collaborations wherever possible, whatever people are able to offer, whether it's partnerships from an access point of view. If people have innovations in terms of programs that they have ideas around, but practical programs, we're not a sort of a random funder of programs, but we do welcome practical and forward-moving collaborations.
Okay. Very strong online presence as well, aware.org.za, if you really want to find out about the work of the organization and the impact. There's lots of information there. And also, I mentioned the impact. You've also noted, Mokebe, in previous conversations that a lot of the work that you're doing is very research-based, which gives us comfort in terms of turning that then into a more pragmatic model, as it were. So in you mentioning these liquor boards, perhaps very quickly, talk to us about why it's important to work with the liquor boards, why it's important to work with United Through Sport and other organizations that fall under this umbrella to make this work a success.
Yes, so we are an implementation partner model organization. And what that means is that we do not go onto the ground and actually physically run the programs ourselves. And we work with community-based organizations that practically run the programs, and we partner with them because they've got skin in the game, which means that they care what happens on the ground. Many of the employees are from those areas. The owners of these organizations are usually from those areas, which is vitally important, which means that they also understand what the ills or the problems on the ground are and what gaps need to be filled. And when we create the programs, we co-create them. We don't just come up with some solution and assume that we have the silver bullet to all the problems of the country. We co-create the programs by going into the community and talking to those people that are invested, number one. Number two, that are able to get access. Number two, that have the buy-in of the community and can actually move the needle. And that is why that collaboration piece is so important, because there's no community that wants outsiders just coming in and thinking that they know what is needed in their very own communities. And that's why a lot of programs fall flat, because they don't have the buy-in of the people that they're trying to serve. It's all about collaboration. And in order to do that, I think everyone has a piece to play. And it's important for us to keep that in mind instead of working in silos, because it's not about who gets there first. It's about us solving for the problems and the ills of the country.
The voice of Mokebe Thulo, Chief Executive Officer of Aware. Go check them out, aware.org.za. Incredible work that you're doing. Thank you so much for your time. It's 31 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest in sports.